There was a room he never entered, the one where he had locked the piano. A long time ago, he would move his fingers along its keys. Entire symphonies flooded their moments of silence, but back then, she used to lean against his shoulders. She had 3 brownish freckles tucked behind her left ear. Delicate ringlets framed her face, caressing her forehead. She looked like the ecstatic women in Renaissance paintings in her nightgown, allowing a heart-shaped shred of skin to show. He loved her the most when she swung in her grandfather's rocking chair with a Mark Twain book in her hands, picking at his fingers. Seeing her, all inspiration evaporated like a ship into the fog. Straggling from the pile of keys, he would pull her towards him. In the summer of 1952, a creature with a deformed chin, like a raw girdle cake, crossed their path to lure them with bagels. She was an old lady with no name and no address. She took refuge on some street corner. Once, he had bought all her bagels, leaving a long smile on her carved-out pumpkin face. However, on that day, he didn't buy any bagels, and the old lady threw a strange curse on them. His beloved laughed and insisted to visit G. She had promised him that the following time they went over, she would bring him a set of rare oils and a few paintbrushes. G greeted them in a dirty apron. He was barefoot. The girl hugged him. The pianist sat on a stool and lit a cigarette. G showed them his most recent painting, a unicorn with its chest pierced by a sword. In the background, an angel was holding the hand of a nymph with a sad expression. On the palette, the scarlet was slightly blending in with the green and a drop of blue for the sky. The studio was crowded. Varnish placed randomly in casseroles, cassava roots, mirrors with mobile frames buried in small hollows in the floor, broken windows, and rolls of crepe paper. G turned up his sleeves. She asked him, "Well, who will be your victim today?" G answered her candidly, "I actually had you in mind, if the gentleman agrees, of course." They both watched him picking the lint off his overcoat. He shook his chin briefly, planting it in the hollow of his neck. G disappeared behind the curtain and returned with a second chair. He grabbed another easel. "I mostly paint nudes, you know." He remembered giving the painter a dry answer. His words seemed to originate from a bottomless pit. "I don't mind." G asked her to get rid of the sweater. At first, she blushed, troubled, but the man who was sitting with his legs crossed on the small chair was as still as a statue. A part of her being had agreed from the very beginning, shirking from her consent. What was the use in fighting it? "And the rest?" G urged her slyly. "We are making a nude, aren't we, Ada?" Ada obeyed his command dutifully. With only a sheer petticoat to hide her nakedness, she turned to him, her soulmate. No wrinkle on his forehead, no trace of a frown or disapproval. Then, vindictive, she bared her chest, lasciviously shaking her tresses. Wide-eyed, G performed a series of thin and rapid movements, like the dance of flames in the fireplace. A woman he didn't know was being born there, with each stroke left by G's paintbrush. However, his fingers, in the shape of a pyramid, made him look eerily calm. Fear, saturated with anger and helplessness, melted into silence during all that time that somehow managed to go by.